Hi, this is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden, and welcome to Shifting Perspectives. Oh my God, am I at peace? I, last night was such a difficult night for me. It was a good night. It wasn't difficult in the sense of hard. It was difficult in the sense of I was exhausted, and my mind was just. I manifest before I go to sleep. Always. I use my 30 minutes prior to sleep to focus on positive affirmations, and I almost always focus on manifest answers, because through answers, that's when doors open. And once you see which door you're supposed to open, it changes everything. And I just wanted to know my path. That was all last night. I had a horrible, horrible day yesterday, and I knew it was the moon. And I finally put the moon app on my phone. I need to stop ignoring the moon. I need to prioritize that because I am so tuned in. The frequency, the energy field is and the moon are like parallel. They are oh my God, they move with each other. And when you live in the vortex, yeah, that's it. I live in the vortex. When you live in the vortex, it's you have to know what's going on with the moon. And I'm tired of waiting for my Facebook to blow up and be like, oh, the moon is here. I need to not do this anymore. So I'm writing up the calendar. I'm tracking the moon. I used to do this when I wrote Dollar and Shadow because the Vikings used the moon calendar. Oh my God, I studied the calendar history. I love the history of the calendar. It's one of my favorite things. And almost every society uses the sun, which is so silly to me. It's foolish. It's illogical. Oh, there's my word. It's illogical. It's very illogical to use the sun. And so when I looked at the Viking calendar, how perfect, how mathematically perfect the moon calendar is, I went, why aren't we doing this? So the sun calendars, when you base your time off of the sun, which is what the patriarchy and the system does, the physical world, when the physical world bases their calendar off of the sun, which is very illogical because there are so many problems with the mathematics that we have to have leap years every 4 years to compensate for this. It's not precise. That's why we have 28 days, 29 days, 30 days, 31 days. It's all over the place. But the moon calendar is precise. It is the exact same thing 12 times a month. It's beautiful. And when you look at the moon calendar, it aligns with the zodiac and it aligns with the circle of fifths in music theory. And and it aligns with the Chinese calendar. So all these things, 12, 12, 12, keeps coming up, but only if it aligns with, it aligns regardless. But if you also take into account the moon calendar, oh my God, it's beautiful. So when I studied Viking lore and the Old Norse, I discovered the moon calendar and was able to compare it to all the sun calendars used by the Roman Empire. And the logic was so beautiful and perfect with the moon calendar that immediately I switched my entire lifestyle around the moon calendar. And when I did this, there were a few consequences. The first one was I noticed that, oh my God, the order and the mathematical order, it's literally like stepping into the moon calendar. The moon cycle is the energy field's calendar. It's the vortex's calendar. So my authenticity city revolves around the moon calendar. And about a year ago, I noticed, well, all my life, every time the moon was out, I was drawn to it. The moon is my energy. The sea and the forests are secondary, but the moon is my primary energy. I'm a chakra stone. Like I step into the moon and I'm like, chakra stone me. And I noticed about a year ago, that whenever the full moon was out, it was like it was an energy cleanse, not just an energy cleanse. And that's what we have wrong. It's a perspective cleanse. And that's, you have to really understand the abstract and all the different parts of authenticity. So we talk about the energy, but I'm over here talking about perspective psychology, the subconscious mind, identity, and authenticity. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. There are parts to authenticity. You have your imagination, which is your energy. Oh, yeah, I get into stuff. You have your identity, and then you have your I am home. My God, am I home finally? Breathe with me for a minute. Authenticity is identity, perspective, and imagination. And they all three have, these are your abstract health. This is abstract health. You have to maintain all three of them to be aligned in the vortex. The problem is we're not talking about this stuff. We're not aware of it. And as a result, when we go into healing, we don't know what we're doing. So there's a lot of hypotheticals and there's a lot of, when you go the traditional route of healing, you are only addressing 5% of the problem, maybe 10%. And that's the problem. There's a whole nother world here that's not even looked at. And this is all part of a much bigger puzzle. So triadic healing addresses all of it. So you have your identity, you have your perspective, and you have your imagination. And these three things make up the abstract health of a person. And these three things absolutely solidify you. The moon and the energy field during the full moon purifies your abstract health, which is what that vibration is. It's everything that isn't yours that you're clinging to or that somebody has forced into you is being ripped out of you. It's like a beacon going, this isn't yours, this isn't yours, this isn't yours, this isn't yours. And it should be taken as red flags to say, oh, look at all the stuff I need to release and let go of. But if we're resisting that release, if we're afraid, so we hold on to it, that's when the pang happens because we're resisting. And that's where Buddhism is right, where we're holding onto something so tightly because we are resisting letting go of things that we've grown attached to. And it's really the purification of the energy of the vortex and of your frequency so that you can exist within the vortex. The vortex, the abstract world, is completely incompatible with the physical world. They cannot, that's incorrect. That physical world is incompatible with the vortex and the abstract world. You're supposed to use the abstract world to build your own physical world. But we have this reversed. Instead, the physical world is telling us what we need, what we shouldn't do, and it is rejecting the abstract world. So the abstract world is our foundation, which is our identity, our perspective, and our imagination. But concrete thinkers who haven't even evolved past the fourth perspective, the fourth stage of growth, tell us that the abstract world doesn't exist. They do this because they're not even capable of understanding abstract yet, because you cannot see or understand abstract thinking until you reach a certain stage of growth. So when you heal, it's you stepping back into the abstract world, laying a foundation and then building a physical world off of that, which is what my whole existence has been about, is me finally embracing and accepting the abstract world, despite you're insane, that's not real, you need to be more realistic, your head's in the clouds. All the labels and names and the abuse that I endured was them pulling or trying to pull me away from the abstract world. And I resisted them. And as a result, they abused me. So I escaped and came over to the abstract world. And in 2015, it was the first time in my life, I completely rejected the abstract world because concrete thinkers associated the abstract world with disassociation. It's not disassociation. It's not disassociation. It is not disassociation. And it's extraordinary. It is so extraordinary. I have so much work. I am so excited. So last night was just this purification. And I've been seeing this city my whole life. Since I was 2, 3, 4, it's in the distance and I'm getting closer and I'm reaching toward it. And I got to the door about a year ago and I got to the beacon and I got to the garden. I'm like, all right. And I can see the city and there's the door. And I have been playing around with this front door for a year going, how do I get in? How do I get in? And last night the door opened and I went, there's the door. And I'm so excited because I've been looking at this thing for 43 years and I'm finally inside the door. And I went, I understand my purpose. And I got into an argument with somebody yesterday. I love my hat. I want to wear my hat from now on. Yeah. And the metaphor stands. Yes. I got into an argument with someone yesterday, and it was me just screaming at the world, get out. I literally just sat there screaming, get out of my head. You are not wanted in my vibrational frequency. Get out. And one of the biggest things that I always heard from people was things like, you need help, you need other people, you can't do this alone. Oh, yes, I can. And I'm not alone. I have you. I have been networking and trying to find people who can help me and trying to find people. You. I wasn't ready. I was not in any kind of a position to accept or receive you. I didn't even know how to. I had no idea how to connect to you. I was terrified of you at one point. My God, I was so fucking terrified of you. I was terrified of the accessibility. I was terrified of the pain. I was terrified of the perspective abuse. So I put up walls and I put up boundaries, and people kept saying, you need to connect with people. And I'm like, people hurt me. I don't want to be told. I'm tired of being told. I'm ready for people to listen. I have listened my whole life. I have listened to the point of self-destruction. I have listened to the point where there's nothing left. I am a philosopher. You don't become a philosopher by talking. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I am talking about. I learned Socratic method when I was 15 years old. Socratic method means you shut your mouth and you listen and you have an open mind because you are a student. And I did that for 30 years. 30 years of opening myself to every opinion, every perspective, every story. I did not spend 30 years of my life talking and telling other people what I thought. I spent 30 years of my life listening, in silence, open-minded, learning. I read as many of the great books as I could. I studied as many topics as I could. I remained open-minded as often and as much as I could. I sampled the world. I explored everything. My sexuality is a huge topic for people because I don't want to talk about why. I don't care why. And every conversation about my sexuality begins the same way. Have you done? And my answer is always, I have done everything. I started when I was 15. And I have done everything. Because I wanted to sample everything. And I did. I sampled every culture, sexually and platonically. I listened to every perspective. I went to so many churches. I've sung in Catholic churches in their masses as an atheist. You can't get more open-minded than that, can you? I've gone to so many Native American healing events. I have toured so many different cultures. I have lived among minorities. I have had pissing contests alongside men. I have literally explored every perspective. I learned and took in so many different perspectives that the perspectives started repeating themselves. This is when my frustration began. When I exhausted my exploration. I would ask for people's advice a year ago, and I started to notice a year ago that all of the advice was the same. I'd already tried everything I was advised 40 times over. It wasn't working for me because it was not mine. I ran out of perspectives to study. That is how open-minded I have been for 30 years. Because I'm a philosopher, and philosophers are taught to listen. And so I did. I listened and I absorbed every culture, every opinion, every mythology, every perspective. I studied and I absorbed it all. I had conversations with narcissists. I had conversations with intellects, with scholars, with scientists, with chemists. I learned all the perspectives. Now, I don't know everything. No one does. We're not supposed to. I learned what I enjoy. I learned what I don't enjoy. I dabbled in areas. I found the things that I loved, like chemistry, and I took from chemistry what I wanted for myself. I make a Ming cookie. But then I walked away and said, I'm done there. I've got the chemistry that I want to make the cookies that I want. I'm all good. And all along the way, I was told I was insane. That hurt most of all. That my own sanity was taken away from me by the closed-minded intolerance of others. And I kept saying to myself, Anna, keep an open mind, keep an open mind, keep an open mind. And then I got to that point where I realized yesterday that all the perspectives were the same. All the advice was now the same. I was hearing nothing new. Nothing I've never heard before. I've heard it all before. Every subconscious mind in this world started to sound the same to me because I spent 30 years listening to all of them. So I closed the door. I have exhausted listening. It took 30 years. I was made to feel guilty. I was manipulated. I was abused. Even yesterday, I was told I was greedy, because I would not listen to his perspective. I'm going to say those words again. He called me greedy because I would not listen to his perspective. And it was a perspective I have already heard countless times. It was not new. I could not articulate to him because he would not listen. I felt guilty. I hung up on him because I do not tolerate name calling. And I felt guilty. I thought about apologizing. And my identity, my intuition, my ego, conscious awareness, all said, Anna, he called you a name. He gaslit you. He told you what you are. And all you said to him was, get out of my head. Stop pushing on my perspective. All I did was defend my perspective. And it made him mad because he wanted to use me. He wanted to use my network. He wanted to use my triadic healing. He acted like a friend. And the moment I said no, he said, you need me. You need help. You can't do this alone. No, you can't do this alone. I wanted to say to him, you can't do it alone. I can. He was projecting his weakness onto me and aggressively lashing out when he realized that I wouldn't help him because he was taking from me at the expense of my own perspective. That is what I want to tell you. When people take from you at the expense of your perspective, that's when the abuse needs to stop. If you have to exist at the expense of your own perspective, authenticity has 3 parts: identity, perspective, imagination. If you have to sacrifice at the expense of these 3 things, that's abuse. Don't do it. He started condescendingly telling me about the moon and how the moon's going to have its cycle and effects on me, as if I didn't know. He accused me of projecting, internalizing. He accused me of internalizing. And I thought, I'm internalizing because he's projecting. I do need boundaries because he is projecting, which is why I'm internalizing. So I put up my boundaries and I realized the reason why I was arguing and screaming and yelling at him was because he wouldn't shut up and listen. I know listening because I have done it for 30 years. My partner listens like that. That's why he's my partner. So I closed the door and I did some self-care last night. There were some problems with my internet and technology. My partner invited me to watch TV with him, but the tech wouldn't work. And so he just stayed on the phone with me and we talked for an hour and a half. And I was able to say all the things to him that I've been trying to say for 2 years. That's all I wanted. That there were days I wanted to go to events and play, and there were days I wanted to watch TV with him. But most days I just wanted to talk and have a conversation with him, and I didn't know how. And then I went to bed, and I manifested, and I said, I just want to know my path. I just want to know where I belong. And sometimes when you're in the vortex, the energy and your peaceful existence and the moon all merge so that you can't feel what you want. It's a feeling I have yet to figure out. I'm working on this one. And I just said, the moon is full. It is definitely a time for powerful manifestation. What do I want? I want answers. I want to know where my path is. I want the doors to open. And I went to sleep. And as is always the case, by 2 a.m., when the veil is thinnest, I woke up. And all of the manifestations that I wished for came to me. So I went into my Facebook. It never is there. I start with my partner always because he's part of this. So I messaged my partner and I said all the words to him that I had been wanting to say to him for 2 years. And my beautiful partner took in the information and said nothing. He listened. I then went over to Facebook and I finally said everything to you that I have been trying to say. Because I put it on Facebook, I'm going to just read it here to you now. I'm going to be copying and putting this all on my website, but I do want it on my YouTube as well. So I will read to you the story. Hello, my lovelies. Taking respite within this moon cycle, embrace the authentic self. The moon sends me home every month, and if I have any perspectives or vibrations in me that are not meant for me, the moon rips them out. This cycle, the moon ripped out a big one that I just picked up a week ago, and I returned to my partner who is like a grounding rod to me. I want to connect with you, but I don't know how. I want to connect with you. To tell the truth so they see, so they know, so they can understand. And the truth is, you were always right. And my truth isn't to scream at you that I am right. It's to scream at you that you were right, even when they abused you. I know your truth. Own your truth. The deep truth. Where you hear, you're crazy. Every time you look at it, look closer. But I can't follow the truths of others. If I am to do this, I have to be solid, defined, and steadfast to pull this off. I cannot sway from my truth. That is the point. You have your truth. We both must see our truths at the same time. There is only the universe and the interpretations of others. If you are repeating the interpretations of others, then who is talking about your interpretation and translation of the universe? I finally have the full message I'm supposed to give to you. I am an oracle. I always have been. That is why they beat me and then hid me. I saw things that scared them, and when I healed myself with my triadic healing, I healed all of myself until I found my God self. Telling the truth is scary because that is when they take away your sanity and they label you as crazy. And who are we if we don't have our minds? Who are we then? So I'm lonely, I'm lost, I'm cold, and I'm broken. We have been silent for too long. We all have forgotten who we used to be, who we are. Listen to the words. This is not a song. It's a message I've been trying to give to you. Because within all the trauma and abuse and healing that I have studied, there is only one commonality with each and every case study. Each one spoke their truth and they were told they were wrong. Some died for their truth. Others went insane. Either way, none of them ever spoke again. Instead, they changed their story to match the lie that everyone is repeating. That is why we all wear masks. To hide each individual truth. Both Christ and Socrates died speaking their truths, so everyone repeated their words. We weren't supposed to repeat their stories. We were supposed to be telling our own. We were supposed to be listening to the universe, not following others. And it's the following that's killing us. We all are supposed to be leaders because we all are individuals. And every time I step up and speak, I am told that I'm wrong. I am told you have to do it this way. And you need to. Stop gaslighting me. I scream and throw them out of my vibrational frequency. No one is me. No one else can do this because no one else sees it. No one else knows. So I have to stand alone and plant my feet and be the first to say, you are not wrong. There is an abstract world outside of the physical world. I feel it too. I grew up in it. They told me it was all in my head. No, it is not. Because you feel it too. We all feel it. Imagination is not the stuff of children. Imagination is the key to the abstract world. Heaven is not up there after you die. Heaven is here. It is the abstract world. But when I say the words I have to say, because I am an oracle and the universe tells me every day for 40 years to tell my story, some asshole tells me I have to change my message to reflect the Akashic records. And I'm like, no, I'm delivering a message. And the universe causes me great pain if I don't say these words. And I'm not interpreting this wrong. Stop gaslighting me. Because no one else is saying what I have to say. I'm not repeating any story. I'm telling you mine because my story ends with me saying to you that those feelings you have is your truth. Don't doubt yourself for a moment. Your truth is in your feelings, and this is an abstract world that we all belong to. But not everyone can feel it because it requires an enlarged hippocampus. It requires abstract thinking to see it. And too many people are concrete thinkers. So many concrete thinkers abuse abstract thinkers. That is your perspective abuse. You were right. Your abusers were concrete thinkers who could not see or understand the abstract. So you were beaten, raped, thrown away, neglected, abandoned, unwanted, labeled. But I want you because you are like me. And you are right. You are not crazy. The abstract is real. You know what other abstract is real? Mathematics. And if mathematics can be real, then so can my world. And so can yours. My head is hot again. It's always hot when I have a vision. I wonder if anyone else ever feels like this. So I hand you Triadic healing. Oh, it works. It heals trauma, it cures mental illness, and it restores and awakens your God self. It shows you the abstract world, and it teaches you how to create your own. And I give you sanctuary while you do it. Triadic healing heals the trauma, restores the self, awakens your God self. That is why it's called Triadic healing. The hardest thing I ever did was learn things no one ever thought of before and then speak them out loud. And then defended my thoughts against the pessimism, criticism, and the projections of others while standing my ground. A city lives. A city lives, dies, exists, and breathes on the daily habits and practices of its peoples. So how are we all doing? My city, Authenticity City, begins with meditation every morning, with a conscious removal of time from the day. Day one is now. May you find all of your truth so that you too may always know who you are. Happy story hunting. We are truth. Why was that so hard to see? Do not judge a person by how they handle insanity. Judge them on how they handle sanity. The reason why we have to spend time with ourselves is to purify our perspectives and fortify our truths so we remember who we are. Good morning. The moon has a way of purifying my perspectives and vibrations. My meditations are designed to start the healing, to start Triadic healing. I'll be jumping on shortly to begin. And then I found the name of my city, Authenticity City. And it is made up of 3 parts: your identity, your perspective, your imagination. Triadic healing restores all of these things to you. And when you sit down and decide to heal, the reason why you have to shed all others before you, including your religion, is because you cannot follow. Authenticity commands that you lead. And what you are leading is your own abstract world. I'm building my city. Oh, it's mine. I am queen of my realm, hence the crown. And here I am goddess. And it's real. Because it's logical to me. And mathematics is real. The abstract does exist. Yours does too. Come into my world. Heal. And when you're ready, you can go build your own. You can build your own now. You get to decide when it's time for you to build your city. If you feel like you're not ready, you can take respite in my city. You can stay for as long as you like. I have a law that is my own personal logic. I use it to nurture the authenticity of other people. My laws are not designed to force my perspective onto you. My laws, my rules are designed to nurture you into your truth so you know who you are. That is my purpose. That is my story. That is my identity. That is my perspective. And that is my imagination. I am finally home. Welcome to the Healing Garden. Like, subscribe, share, comment below. Let me know what part of this resonates with you. My link tree is below. It is the map to my city. It's a big city. You're going to need a map. Go ahead and click on the link below. And welcome to Authenticity City. May the kindest of words always find you.